Well, aloha everyone, and welcome to this live Healing Moments program, first time recorded on Zoom. So I'm so grateful to have everybody here. Yeah, for those of you, I see you there. I mean, I don't see your faces, but I see your names, so I know that you're in there. And I know not everybody likes to have their camera on, so that's just perfect. I just want you to know that this is a live program, and it's called Healing Moments. And this program is about healing ourselves and is dedicated to answering your questions about consciously creating your world. And I'm so grateful to be with you today, and I welcome everyone. Aloha and welcome. Um, During the program, I'd like you to feel free to raise your hand. I think there's a something at the bottom under my picture. If you're seeing my picture, you can click on it and raise your hand to ask a question. And you don't have to ask a question with the video on. I will unmute your, or you could unmute yourself, I think, unmute your audio, and you'll be able to ask a question just, by audio, or you can tap it into the chat, which is on the right side. So under the little picture there, you'll also see chat. And there, we've already got some stuff in there. And Aloha Mahina Ku, she says, isn't this new video program exciting? Congratulations. Thank you. So far, so good. Yay. I'm just a techno genius here, so we'll do our best. So let's get right into the program. We have as long as we want, and as long as you're asking the question, I welcome you. Thank you, Sandra. I'm doing great. It's a step up for me, definitely, but I know it's better than just audio. Well, let's go 21st century. Let's take this step, right? Okay, so I'd like to begin with a prayer. So if all of you could just get comfortable, and we're going to start by doing 5 breaths of the 5-breath self-healing meditation. And so you can watch me do it now. You don't have to just hear me say how to do it. So we're going to start, and remember the prana breaths in this 5-breath self-healing meditation. You imagine the golden particles around your crown chakra above your head, and they just look like, these golden particles of light particles, photon particles. And then you breathe in through your nose and let it come through, the golden particles come through the pineal gland in the center of your head, and they turn into white light at that point. And you're still inhaling, and you draw them down into your heart chakra, and then you weave them together. So you lock your breath there, and at that point, you've got the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual bodies. So that's where we weave the 4 bodies together. Lock the breath, and then exhale through your mouth. And it goes up to your shoulders, down your arms, and out your palms. Okay, so try that with me. Just try that with me, and I just adjust my video a little bit. So we're going to go up here. Breathe. That's the first breath, and it goes in through your crown chakra, down into the heart, up your shoulders, and then back into your head again. And then if you're wearing glasses, you got to take them off. And then breathe in again. Let the breath come out through your fingers, your middle finger and index finger, and into your eyes. And just let the light go all the way over the cones and the rods, the retina, and back to the vagus nerve in the back of your head and down your spine. And then place your right palm and your left palm on top with the thumbs pointing up to the thymus. And just breathe in. Put the breath in through your heart and let it just go throughout your whole chest area. The next one is at your third chakra, and I'll stand up a bit so you can see that. So it's right here at your stomach. Breathe in, lock it. Exhale into your stomach and through all the organs in this area. And then the last placement is down here at your second chakra. So just breathe and feel that white light. There, I came up for myself here. So I hope you'll just join me in a brief opening prayer as I try and navigate all the different things going on here. Breathe in and feel this light circulating, this beautiful creator force light, and it's connecting to the force of the creator within you and within me. And we call upon that creator force light, the Christ light, the goddess weave of love, and all the beautiful energies of love and light that guide us in this journey of our great shift on the planet. The Master Guide Kiriel, the Master Kahu Fred Sterling, Master Jesus, Master Imhotep, Master Goddess Tara, and all the beautiful energies of love in the angelic realm, our guides from the galactic realm, beautiful energies of love and light. We ask you to shine your light upon our gathering today for the Healing Moments program. And we pray that all the information that comes through now will be for the highest light vibration and in the highest energy of love for all those listening live on our program and later on the recording. We're so grateful in love. Amen. Okay, so here we are, and our topic today is choosing a new way of life. And I want to tell you about this because I was thinking about choosing a new way of life. And I'll just read what I wrote for our Healing Moments page on my website, KarinnaNielsen.com. And it says, in the shifting dimensions on our planet, we have choices to make right now in our evolutionary journey. Choices that will enhance or slow down the process of moving into new realities of love. We can embrace the opportunities that we're living through in our lives. Opportunities mean sometimes things that aren't so easy. I call those opportunities. Or we can spiral in place, staying pretty much where we are and feeling like we're jousting with windmills. Remember that from Don Quixote, jousting with windmills. What happens when we choose a new way of life? What does that even mean? Is it some sort of new age awareness from the last century, or is this what we're offered in the now? So we're exploring today what happens when we choose to embrace a new way of life and what it means to be living in the truth of our hearts. So I thought about that, and I thought about what does that mean for me? Because, and this is where it probably came from, is many years ago when I had come back from Switzerland where I was living and where I met my husband. And actually I went over with another husband and came back with a different one. That's so funny, yeah. That was a long time ago. I was living there and I was an English teacher and I was having a great time, making a lot of money, and just, you know, it was a nice place to live, but it wasn't Lemuria. And so at one point I felt Lemuria calling me home. And so I told my husband, Danny, I think it's time we leave. And he came home one day and he was just miserable. It was one of those days, I guess folks on the mainland know what I'm talking about. It was gray, it was rainy, it was probably November or December. There was no snow yet and all the trees were bare, and it was just a horrible thing. And he works in construction, right? And so there was all of, he was just miserable. And then I told him that on that day, I said, I want to go home. And he goes, great, let's go, But it took us a year to do it, It took us a year to get everything in order, because we, you think, okay, well, Karinna, you're not very spontaneous, are you? And no, I'm not. I'm a real planner. But in that case, at my job in Switzerland, I had to give a year's notice, believe it or not. That's the Swiss. I really fit in there real good. Also, Danny had to become a citizen. So we were working on that too. So it took a year and we got here. And I started developing these things in my body, like pain, different parts of my body, things that I hadn't experienced before. And it was really the shifting in me. And I was choosing a new way of life. I didn't know it at that time, but I was choosing a new way of life. And eventually I found the Honolulu Church of Light, and I found Kahu Fred Sterling, of course, and Master Guide Carol, and Signature Cell Healing. And it was just beginning at that time. This was the real beginnings of Signature Cell Healing. And one of the first things that Master Guide Carol told us was the people that were working. There was a pretty large staff at the Honolulu Church of Light at that time. I think there were 12 or about 12 of us. And he said, and we all agreed that we would give and receive a healing once a week. And I thought that was a great idea, because I was in a lot of pain and I was having a lot of problems with my relationships. I mean, I wasn't getting along very well with my family, and everybody, I felt like, nobody understands me, and I'm doing this new journey and everybody thinks I've gone off, the cliff. And so I really needed those healings. I needed those healings. And thankfully, there were healing rooms set up in the church at that time. It was a big, big location. And so you could schedule. And so I did schedule once a week, and I traded. I gave a healing and I got a healing. And sometimes I got 2 or 3 healings a week. And the people on staff, some are still around, like Gail Jan and Patty Sterling. They got a little tired of me because I had always going in for healings, because I was like, oh God, I'm gonna need this healing, And it was a really good habit for me to get into, right? But, long story short, when things went along, and of course I was with Kahu for a number of years, and he stepped back from doing the workshops. That created a lot of signature cell healers all over the world, right? Over those years, from, around when he started going out around 2002, 2003, and all the way up to about 2013, 2014 or something like that. There were workshops, and I went to 50 of them, folks, 50 workshops. I was managing them, and I was, doing healings in them, and, helping and learning and studying with Kahu, of course. And so, and then when he pulled back, I kept getting and receiving healings with my healing partner, who, was Susanna at that time, Susanna Bowman, Kahu's sister-in-law, and then also Gail Jan. But what I noticed was, where do other people get healings? And I noticed that the practices with signature cell healing, people practicing signature cell healing, was declining. And there weren't healers out there actively practicing anymore. And I thought, well, this is not good. How do we keep it going? And Kahu also expressed the feeling that he wanted to pull back and not do workshops any longer and focus on other things. And, and he offered it to me, and I was really grateful. It's not like I didn't ask before that, right? Because I really did want to teach it, because I saw the need. And I thought, and I looked around and I saw that the staff had diminished, and there weren't as many people on staff any longer at the church, or people doing signature cell healing. So I thought, oh my God, what's going to happen to signature cell healing? And I get really emotional now, because I didn't want it to die. I'll just put it right out there. So my motivation is to create more signature cell healers. and to do that by doing the workshop. So we're going to get to this choosing a new way of life in a minute, but I just wanted to tell you that this year I scheduled 6 signature cell healing workshops, 2 in Tacoma, level 1 and level 2, 2 in the Netherlands, in level 1 and level 2, and also in Tokyo, Japan. And that's in October. But the new ones, the first one coming up is the one in Tacoma in May. And there we have 2 great hosts, Dr. Bree Gibbs and Dr. Teresa Hebert, who are really active in helping us to get the word out about the signature cell healing workshops and how important they are. And they just released a new video about that, and you can find that on the signaturecellhealing.com Facebook. Okay, so I want to get back to this choosing a new way of life. And what I realized was, and I was thinking about this, okay, when I started with Kahu, that's really what I did. I chose a new way of life. And nobody told me, this is your new way of life. Nobody said, you're choosing a new way of life. What I discovered was signature cell healing was a way of life. And I was choosing it. I was choosing it by giving and receiving healings, by practicing the 10 principles of consciously creating, by practicing the Lemurian numerology, by understanding the power of my thoughts to consciously create in love. I was learning about all kinds of things that are found in the signature cell healing workshops about conscious creation. And so I thought, well, originally when I picked this topic, because I was also working with my new guide, Goddess Tara, which I will talk about in a minute, but that's such a great honor, talking about choosing a new way of life. And that is what we're doing, whether we know it or not. So look out in the world around you, right? What's happening out there is there's a lot of fear about a lot of things. I mean, some things are really obviously what is going on in fear. And I'll give you an example. And please feel free to raise your hand or come in the chat anytime you like. Over here in Hawaii, when there's any kind of disaster, and I think people are picking up on it on the mainland now, but whenever there's any kind of a disaster, like a hurricane or an earthquake, especially a hurricane, because the storm is coming, right? And we have time to think about, okay, I better prepare and all of this. And so, with these concerns about the virus, people want to be ready to be able to have to stay in their homes, right? So what do people here do? We buy toilet paper, we buy toilet tissue, and we buy it in mass, okay? And I was with somebody who was she's about 31, right? A young lady. I was with her the other day, and we were kind of talking about people. She went to Costco and there was no more toilet paper. And people were waiting an hour in line to buy toilet paper in Costco. And she looked at me and she said, why do people do that? Why do they do that? And I realized she's too young to remember, right? I'm 60, I'm gonna be 63 next month. So I'm entering a 9 years, so cool. Anyway, I'm a little bit older than her. And I remember in the 1970s, when I was in high school, there was a dock strike. And in those days, they didn't fly goods into Hawaii. Everything came in here by boat. And there was a dock strike. That means the dock workers weren't unloading boats. And so there was a shortage of toilet paper. And so people freaked out. There was also a gas shortage at that time. There was incredible inflation, all of that. And so toilet paper ran out on our island, on the islands. And so since that time, anybody that is like my age or a little bit younger, remember the actual experience. But what do the new people remember, like the millennials or the younger people, like this lady I was talking to? She didn't really directly experience that, but she feels it somewhere in her cells. She has taken it from the collective consciousness of the people in Hawaii that when there's a disaster, we buy toilet paper. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this. There's a cellular consciousness that we can tap into. And are we choosing love? Are we choosing a way of fear or a way of love? So that's my question to you. I mean, toilet paper is just a real common example, but where could that apply to you in your life now? And I'm looking to where it applies to me in my life. I mean, really, where am I in fear about what my journey is going forward, for example? Or, you know, where are you holding back, or where are we holding back in fear from being the very best we can be? How can you get into your heart in love and say, okay, I'm going to love myself so much that I can take this step that means I forgive everybody in my life. Like if you have family that's been really mean to you, and I'm not saying that was my situation, but just say, just for example, somebody was really mean to you in your family growing up, and you have that in your cellular consciousness. And this is why signature cell healing is so important, is because in our workshops we learn to talk to and to listen to the cells in our body, because we have a cellular consciousness. So when we talk about a collective consciousness, like buy toilet paper, you know, or be in fear, or a real good one was recently, a woman can't be elected president. That was they did some studies, or they took some surveys and stuff, and they said, oh yeah, well, a woman I don't think a woman could be elected president. Okay, that's some kind of a cellular consciousness or a collective consciousness that says that. So what does it take to shift a collective consciousness? It just takes enough people being in love. So when we take it to the body now, take it to the physical body. So if you have something going on in your physical body, that illness came into your physical body from the spiritual body. So remember, you're a 4-body experience. You're physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. So if you don't want to say bodies, if you can't think of that as etheric bodies, think of it as aspects of you. The aspects of you are 4: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So when an illness comes in to your physical body, it has to come down through the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and it lands in the physical. And I always like to give the example of my mom, who created a cancer in her life. Yes, she did. She did create a cancer, and she created it because it was, first of all, in her blueprint to have this experience, and that experience helped me become a better signature cell healer and a better person and a better daughter. And I could feel more empathy and compassion for people with illnesses. And so it came in through the spiritual into her mental weave that said, when my dad and my brother said to her, you have to move out of the house that you've lived in for 44 years because of it's time, because the finances aren't right and you're not going to be able to stay here any longer. This was in 2008 in this great stock market crash, or real estate thing that happened, right? She didn't understand that. She doesn't understand finances. She just was love. She was just pure love. And so that trying to understand that mental stress that was put on her, locked down on her emotional body. I get emotional talking about it. Locked down on her emotional body, and it pressed into her physical body, and there's the cancer. And so what did we do? And we did heal the cancer together, my mom and I. It went back. We healed because we learned how to talk to the cells, to get the cells to listen to love. So she started changing her way of life. She chose a new way of life, not to be afraid anymore, to feel the love. And she started meditating. She started automatic writing. She went to the church services at Honolulu Church of Light, which she just loved. And the people loved her there. She was like this bright, shining light. Oh, so amazing. And so then she just healed backwards, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And the doctors didn't know how could she do that. There was no more cancer. It was gone. Okay. And then somebody asked me the other day, I was telling them about that story. And she said, well, did she have any other treatments? You know, and like, yeah, of course she had other treatments, but her doctor told her she was too old for chemo. So she had this Rituximab, which is an antibody thing. But guaranteed, if she wanted to die, she would have died with that cancer because she was so ready to get out of here because her life had just shifted. So what she had to do, and she was hurting, so she really had to shift everything in her awareness and choose a new way of love for herself. That was the first step. She was already in love with everybody else in the world, you know. It was about loving herself. And so we learned how to get the cells, get the love into the cells and vibrate the collective consciousness of the cells to a new level that would allow her to get that tumor, the rogue cell in the tumor that created the tumor, to vibrate to a higher level of love. Now, I know that's all kind of technical and it's probably going out there for a lot of people. I was talking to my husband this morning about different things and he was going, oh, that's too fluffy. You know, that's too fluffy. So I really love Daddy because I can run stuff by him and he'll tell me if I'm too out there. So, you know, this is just for those of you that are perhaps healers and have a feeling about that. So anyway, that's a type of love that I'm talking about, type of life that I'm talking about choosing. I'm not telling you what type of life to live. I'm asking you to get into your heart in meditation. And here we go. We have to do meditation. And the best thing to do is to do it. The 5 breath self-healing meditation is a great way to get into your meditation and to get insights. So you can go to the Signature Cell Healing website, signaturecellhealing.com, and there you will find a video, instruction video that will show you how to do it, and you rent it for 90 days. You might not need it longer than 90 days, but you can renew if you want to. And there's also an ebook that will show you how to do it. Start your meditations with that and get insights. And if you need to use the breathing on other parts of your body, you can do that. What I'm talking about with meditation is extending the time now. So some of you, I'm praying, are meditating twice a day, in the morning or in the evening or when it's best for you. Add another meditation maybe in the middle of the day. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't tell you this unless I'm doing it myself, okay? I am doing it. Patty Sterling, my goddess sister, always says, I wouldn't be able to tell you this and if I hadn't done it myself or I couldn't stand before you. And that's true. That's true. So I'm telling you, and here I am on the recording now. You can all see me. I'm doing it. And I'm doing it because I love myself enough to. And I want to have a life without pain. I want to have good relationships. And it takes work, folks. I mean, we're working on it all the time. So what I do is my meditations in the morning are probably a little longer than what you folks are. They go, couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours, man. I'm not falling asleep. Part of it is automatic writing, okay, but that's part of the meditation process for me, is that I do automatic writing after my meditation, and that takes a while too. I'm just a real dedicated automatic writer, but I do enjoy the meditations. And so what I wanted to tell you about, and please ask a question if you have them. You can raise your hand and I will take you off of mute, and you can ask the question, or you can put the question into chat. I'm also going to pull up, I didn't do that yet, pull up Facebook Messenger in case you'd like to put it in there. We're taping this live this time, and if I can figure out how to make it go into Facebook Live, like other people seem to be a lot more capable of this, I will do that. But I'm going to pull up the Facebook Messenger in case you want to put your question in there. So I got it open now. What I wanted to tell you was about my new Goddess Guidance. And I wrote about that in my newsletter. And it was so interesting because, let me just find what I wrote about that. So I wrote that, and this is about the meditations, because we all need to be opening to guidance now. I mean, how are you going to find out what to do? You know, it's not just listening to me or to Kahu or to anybody. It's about you finding what works for you. And the way that you find that is through the 10 principles of consciously creating, the signature cell healing, of course, and, you know, using the Lemurian numerology as your guide, but also, you know, and if you're into the goddess light, is living in the goddess love, but you've got to get your own guidance. And that's what my guides have always told me. Kahu and Master Kirill have always encouraged me to do the meditations and to get my own guidance. So I was in meditation, and I felt this, you know, I talked about splinters right before, and I felt this, like this really strong energy coming over me. And I thought, well, you know, what is this? And it comes in from the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. And when it came in to the physical, boy, I could feel my heart expanding. And I've had this before when I've gotten, you know, new guides to work with, but this was really something completely different. And my heart was just expanding, and it was feeding in for about an hour. I mean, and it was blissful, I'm telling you. So if there's any reason for you to do meditation, is to get into that blissful state, folks. It's awesome. So, and maybe that's why I love to meditate. I just love it. And in the beginning, I wasn't such a great meditator. I mean, I just couldn't get my mind turned off. I didn't know what to do. So I use the meditation, Sanctuary of Inspiration meditation that Kahu teaches us, or that I'm now teaching in the level 1 workshops. And that's a video on the Signature Cell Healing websites too. So you can actually learn that, or we teach it in the workshop. But I go into the safe space, and I use that to go into the 4th dimension. So there's I have like a, way I do that. I'm not going to totally explain it because it's kind of technical, but anyway, excuse me, I use that to go into the 4th dimension. And Kahu has talked about this for years, and so I thought, well, he always says, if he can do stuff, I can do stuff. So I started going into it. Well, this time, in the last, I would say 6 months, I've really been going there because I know people there. First it was Reverend Carol, who was a minister at the Honolulu Church of Light and left quite early on, like in 2007. And find out recently she was like the first person in the 4th light. And then came my mom leaving, and a couple of other people, 2 or 3, maybe 4 other people at the church left and went into the 4th dimension. And when I go there, I feel them, and I'm starting to see them. So, and also this includes Peter Bowman, right? Who is really great. He's like dynamic. So what I see is I go and I see this pond, right? There's a pond there where the people go to gather, and they have something to eat, and they're eating this algae. And for those of you that think this is out there, okay, that's fine. But it's so close now. And what I wanted to tell you also is I had this this writing. It's going to be an article probably next month, but Tara is taking me there now and explaining things to me about actually showing me people doing things. So there's people doing things over there. Now, if we get into the quantum physics of this, if you don't want to go there on the spiritual level, okay, let's talk about parallel dimensions, because a dimension is just a patterning of thought. So if you saw the Matrix movie, it's a patterning of thought. It's a way we think collectively. So that's what the third dimension is. It's a patterning of thought. And if you can shift your conscious awareness or the way you think and allow for yourself to go to this fourth dimension, and you need to be able to meditate. That's why I was telling you this. Excuse me. You need to be able to get into the fourth dimension through meditation. That's how you get there. Okay. Excuse me. I'll be like coughing now. Coughing. So it's a parallel dimension, and it's coming. It's there. It's there. And I don't want to say it's up there. It's over there. It's, over here. It's there. And because of the difference of space, the concept of space and time, I realized it's really difficult to explain to people where is the fourth dimension. You can't see it. I don't see it. Where is it? But you can feel it. So if you go into your meditations, your intuitive awareness is going to start to open. So this is another thing about signature cell healing, is you develop your intuitive sense in the workshops and your feeling of a collective consciousness. So as you're meditating, you can do this because you are a collective consciousness. All your cells and everything in your cells, in your mind, in the cells in your mind, the cells in your heart, brain, that's a collective consciousness of love, yes, but there's also fears in there, and there's also different ways of thinking. So if you're going to elevate that frequency of love within you and elevate your consciousness, that just means you're going to be able to go into these other dimensions. Okay, so somebody wrote in here, wow, meditative bliss, green Tara. Yeah, I'm thinking it probably is, yeah. And that's coming from a green goddess too, so she would know. But it's that feeling. And I give you something really, I feel really, really honored and blessed that Tara is now showing me, letting me feel a passageway into the fifth dimension. And that's where, people are talking about that. Why don't we just skip over the fourth? Well, we can't. We need to have the fourth dimension. And this is why I'm talking to you today. And this is part of the motivation for me and what I do, is we need more signature cell healers. We need to get more people practicing, choosing a new way of life, so we can have a collective consciousness that shifts the planet into love. And there are ways that we can do that. But I'm also thinking about our world as it is now. Have you noticed that there are pockets of fear, or there are pockets of, and it doesn't have to be places in the world. It can just be consciousnesses, awarenesses, people that are locked into the same collective consciousness, and they don't have to be in the same part of the world anymore. I mean, we have this internet that connects us all over the place, and they don't even need to have the internet. They're just locked into the same, it's a lower vibrating collective consciousness of fear. And for me, that represents the lower vibrating parts of the third dimension. There are higher vibrating parts of the third dimension, and those are weaving into the fourth dimension now. So the fourth dimension, and I wrote about this, and this is so great. In that meditation with Tara, where she started showing me the people in the fourth dimension and what they were doing. And what were they doing? You probably you want to know what they're doing? I don't see any questions, but I will answer that question. I heard that. Some of them were I mean, and I don't want to, get racy here or anything. They were doing intimate things, and it wasn't intimate like in our third dimensional thinking, but they were sharing love without touching. It was so crazy. Okay, so I'm so glad I can tell you guys this. And then there were people that were creating living spaces, like in trees or in different parts of the forest and things like that. It was really interesting. So I'm thinking, man, am I seeing this? I mean, and I wasn't, seeing it. I'm normally not a really visual meditation person. So if you're like that, I mean, people used to tell me, well, didn't you see that? Did you, when we would do a meditation together or, a ceremony, goddess ceremony, they used to tell me, did you see that? I saw this, I saw that. And I was thinking, I didn't see anything, because it wasn't really what they meant. It wasn't like I saw it, or maybe they did. Maybe they have that kind of ability. But what I realized is when I see something in meditation, it's what I'm feeling. And for so many years, I just tapped that down. I didn't listen to my feelings, because I grew up in a family where that really wasn't valued. It wasn't valued at all to have feelings, right? So in these meditations, that's what, I'm finally realizing and tapping into. And I'm really grateful for all my guidance over the years. And you can see on my website, KarinnaNielsen.com, all the different guidance entities that I've worked with over the years. For me, this is really the ultimate. And I'm really grateful. So anyway, what I heard when I was in that space, what I see as the fourth light, and what Kahu has described as the fourth dimension, excuse me, I'll get it, was I heard, you are seeing the resurrected earth. And whoa, I don't want to go biblical on you or anything, but resurrected earth, that's pretty cool, and I could feel it. This is the earth that we all want. This is what we're resonating to, and this is what we're going to move into through our meditations and through the great shifting consciousness. So then Tara afterwards was telling me about, experiencing the resurrected earth in our great shifting consciousness. And we can go there in meditation. We all can do this, it's not just me or Kahu or anybody, that's talking to you, or like a spiritual teacher or something. This is something everyone has ability to do. So what it takes is just being more in love with you and never giving up. I was talking to my husband about that today, and I said something about the 5 or 50 steps in the journey. And he was going, well, what does that mean? And I said, that's what we've been doing. We've been building this house for 11 years, 11 years? No, I take that back. We've been building this house for 19 years. And we were trying to get the building permit closed for 11 years. And we tried to get our house refinanced, but the building permit was still open. So that took us 4 months to refinance. Okay, so I mean, that was just my communication with him. That's what I call the 5 or 50 journey, and never giving up. So if you are in pain and you just can't take another step, if you are in a relationship that you feel like, oh my God, why did I marry this person? I mean, it's possible. Or like, oh my God, these are my parents. I can't believe I chose these guys as my parents. I mean, I said that. Anyway, recognize that whatever, like I said in the beginning, is an opportunity for you to get into the depths of your blueprint and experience, why are you in that relationship? What what is there for you to understand, and how can you love yourself more in that relationship and focus on you. So as soon as you go to blame, and as soon as you go to that other person is just a horrible person, or why do I have this pain in my body when I'm such a good person? Just take another step. You know, Master Guy Carol told me a long time ago, I was suffering from this horrible sciatic nerve pain for years. I'm talking about 2 years. I had that thing, you know, and in various ways. And then it would come back even after that. And so I told him, you know, it's just so painful. And then he said, when you get up in the morning and the first thought that you have, because becomes part of your consciousness, right? It becomes part of your cellular awareness. Oh, I'm in pain and this hurts and it hurts every day. And this is the life I'm living. How do you get past that? And it's just one step at a time. And the first step that I took was when I got up in the morning, I swung my legs over. You know, I learned how to get up so it wasn't so painful, right? The first thing I said to myself was, I feel great. And the way Master Carol said it, of course, was, I feel great. So I would say that, I feel great. And so whenever I have a problem, I tell myself, I feel great, you know, and it over time, it helped. And it helped me to see other things. So that's the point about meditation too, is that you're gonna open to insights that you need. And this is how you choose a new way of life. You choose your own new way of life. That's the secret. You choose the love as it is important for you. What does love mean for you? It's a different answer for everybody. So every morning when you get up, tell yourself you feel great, or tell yourself this is going to be a good day. You're gonna have a really good day today, and you're gonna see what you need to see. You're gonna hear what you need to hear. You're gonna experience what you need to experience. I mean, we used to say that in meditation, in the Silver Wings of Light, in the Goddess, we would say, I'm open to hear what I need to hear and see what I need to see, and you know, take the steps I need to take this day. So I invite you to ask questions. Otherwise, it's just me, guys. So please ask a question. And I hope this has been helpful to you. I want to see on my program what else I wanted to talk to you about today. So, the numerology for the month. We're in March now. And I hope you feel the difference, because that 2 month was awfully long for a 2 month, for a 29-day month. It seemed awfully long. We're moving from that energy of the yin yang and balancing the energy of love, goddess balance of the yin yang. That's how the evolved version of the Lemurian numerology is. And we're moving into the trinity of truth, trust, and passion. Now, those are the first 3 principles of the 10 principles of consciously creating, and we call them the 3 keys. And that is because they anchor the love for the self within the 3rd dimensional world. So this is the trinity that we come in here. So before you incarnated, any of us, before we incarnated as a human, we all were in the golden particles of the Creator's light. And then the Creator said, I've got an opening on earth. And you said, oh, I'll go. I want to experience another human life, right? You might not think so now, but at that time you did. And I did too. So then you come down, you know, through the guidance and everything, and you choose your mom and dad, and you choose your blueprint, you set that all up, and you wait for that very moment, in the very place where your parents are together creating you. And they come together, there's a sperm and the egg, and then there's your light, the particle of creator force light that is you. And it brings in your blueprint, it brings in your life plan, boom, right into the Trinity. It creates the very first Trinity. And there you are. You come out through the channel into a new dimension, right? So you're already moving through dimensions and moving into love. So that's the very first Trinity. And we go back to this when we find this month, in the month of March, our truth, our trust, and our passion. And when any of those are a little bit off balance, then you have a wobbly three-legged stool, as Master Carol likes to say. You know, you have a three-legged stool, and when one of those is a little shorter than the other, you're going to wobble. So go back and look at your truth, look at your trust, or look at your passion. And when you get those in alignment, and I'm telling you, it's not something that's a done deal, folks. I mean, we're working on it all the time, aren't we? Because it's about the human journey. So when we do that, when we feel that, love is found at the center of that Trinity. So we're looking for love this month, folks. So that's my little spiel on the numerology for the month. And we need that centered balance right now because there's just a lot of things going on in our world. If you have a question, please ask it, because there's a lot of stuff going on and we need to feel that centered energy of love. So center in your meditations, your 5 breath self-healing meditation, and then go into your longer meditation using the Sanctuary of Inspiration or using whatever meditation you have. But it's not a walking meditation I'm talking about, folks. And a lot of people ask me, well, I do a walking meditation. No, I'm talking about sitting down, closing your eyes, and breathing into the space that you create in your mind and in your heart for where you can go to find peace. Where do you go to find a peaceful life? You know, and if the first step, of course, is to create a space in your home, wherever you live, that is your corner or your altar. Put your altar there. You know, get your headphones if you have noise around you, or put music on that will settle you and allow you to go within and find a peaceful space. Because outside of us, in what's left of the third dimensional world, it's pretty gnarly sometimes, and we need to find a space of peace and love for ourselves. And that's the first step of being in love for yourself, is creating a meditation practice. That's my philosophy. And that's also part of the 10 principles of consciously creating, because it's the 4 pillars, right? Prayer, meditation, sleep state programming, and masterminding. And we learn about that in the level 1 workshops, and also the level 2, because it's really important to keep practicing the 10 principles and make that a way of life, because that's the way of life that the Lemurians lived by, because they didn't have laws and they didn't have those things. They raised their children in the 10 principles. So, and then they carried it on throughout life. That's interesting chapter in Kirill Lemurian Legacy for the Great Shift, which you can find on the signaturecellhealing.com online store. It's a beautiful book about Lemuria from Kahu Fred Sterling Master Guide Kirill. It talks about the shifts that we're going through now: first life, common time, and transition. And so here we are, you know, moving first life, 3rd dimension, common time, 4th dimension, transition, 5th dimension. And where we are is a flow. It's a variable. It's not static. We're moving, we're transitioning into these new higher levels of love awareness. So let's see, I wanted to talk to you also about, I want to thank the people at Sedona Journal for including me in their March issue, Sedona Journal. If you follow my newsletters or you read my channelings on KarinnaNielsen.com, you might have already seen the article. It's in the March article, because we got to get it to them early. But I appreciate and I appreciate Sedona Journal so much for featuring me, my article, my channelings there with my guidance, and also putting my workshop schedule there now, which is great. Thank you so much. Anyway, that there is a new, for my newsletter readers and people who go to my website, there's a new channel article there with Goddess Tara. And it's the second one that I've done with her. The first one was last month, and we talked about it, but I didn't know who it was yet. And so I explained in my kind of preamble to that article now that I was in that meditation, and I think I kind of went off a while ago, feeling what was going on, you know, that vibration. And then as I went into the meditation further, I could see something, you know, familiar, what I usually see in meditations. And I have a pyramid there, right? Because of Master Imhotep, and I like pyramids. And there's that connection with Master Imhotep and my energy and the Egyptian era. And so there's a pyramid. And then from behind that pyramid just came this softest voice that said her name. And for a while, I couldn't say her name. You know, I couldn't say it, but I heard it, right? I heard it. I heard her say it. And for a while, I was just a little humbled. But I heard her name in that meditation. So imagine what you can do in your meditations when you're doing them regularly, or, you know, just take a step. It's about taking a step on the 5 or 50 journey, right? So Sandra says, I like Goddess Tara too. Okay, so thank you. Thank you so much, Sandra. I really enjoy it. And I hope you enjoy, before I get to the question I see in there, I hope you enjoy the article for this month, which is there, and it's called A New Way of Life on Earth. So there's a couple of questions. One, she has an opening statement, and then talking about, you know, kind of what's going on now, and what can we do, basically what we've been talking about also, and from her perspective. And then also talking about, you know, how can I meditate every day? That was one of the questions that came in. And feeling, people are feeling behind, they can't get caught up, you know, there's good questions in there. So A New Way of Life on Earth from Goddess Tara, and that's in the channeling section on my website. Now, I have a question from Aldine Mahina-Ku, thank you. And the question is, how might we apply the Trinity of Love in March to the recent coronavirus process? Okay, so I think whenever we want to, and it's a little general, so we want to bring it down to ourselves, right? Because the coronavirus process is on multiple levels. Let's put it that way. A process is a vague term that could mean just about anything, right? So what we want to do is bring it to the self and understand, when we are centered in our truth, trust, and passion, we're going to know what to do. We're going to know, do I really need toilet paper? You know, I'm sorry to make it trivial, but I mean, it's about how do we respond to fear, and how do we remain in our hearts to know what the truth is. And I was listening, I think it was on public radio this morning. I was getting ready, I was listening, and somebody had talked to a psychologist about, you know, why do people do that? I think they had picked up on it on the mainland, that people are buying toilet paper and paper goods because they think they have to hunker down, right? And so a psychologist said, you know, they asked the psychologist, you know, why do people do that? And they do it because they're responding to a collective consciousness of fear, a fear that isn't necessarily truthful. It's just a fear, right? So it isn't really true that there isn't enough toilet paper. But what happens when people focus on that fear and act on that fear in a fearful way, that it becomes a reality. So it is a reality if I go to Costco today that I probably won't be able to buy toilet paper. Someplace on the island might have toilet paper, I don't know, but it's really possible that I could go there if I have that fear in my mind, especially that, oh, there's no toilet paper. There's not going to be any toilet paper there, folks, you know? So I think right now what we want to be careful of, and isn't that a perfect energy, that truth, trust, and passion, that if we center in love and let's do it in that way, center in love in our hearts, and then feel what is the truth, what is my truth, the truth of love, and can I trust that? And can I bring the passion to it? If I can, then I have that loving balance that allows me to take a step and to know what to do. And that's the most important thing. So in Signature Cell Healing, in the workshops, we don't prescribe, we're not doctors, we're healers, right? And so if you have a physical ailment, or like my mother, she went to the doctor, right? I mean, you go to the doctor if you have a physical ailment or disease, and you get guidance from a physician, and they tell you what to do, or they know what to prescribe you, or you get a baseline for what it is going on with you. So you go to whatever kind of doctor you need. It could be a physician, it could be a psychologist, it could be a psychiatrist. You know, what is the type of, you know, medical guidance, allopathic medicine that you need to get a baseline for what's going on for you. And then we work with the healing, with the signature cell healing, because it is like other hands-on healing modalities. Not only is it a way of life, but it's a complementary healing modality. So it works with your doctors and with the medical world. So I hope that answers. And I just saw a question or a comment from Sandra that said, I'm definitely a work in progress. Well, aren't we all, you know? I mean, thank you, Sandra. It's so true, isn't it? We're a work in progress. And, you know, I'm talking to you, you know, and I've been doing this journey for a number of years, but folks, I'm still here. I'm still working on my relationships. I'm still working on taking big, scary steps, like, you know, going out and teaching workshops. Another scary step was, you know, I hope this recording comes out okay the first time, so you guys, other people can listen to the recording. I mean, I just take another step. And so we're all a work in progress. Thank you, Sandra. It's so true. What we can do as our work progresses, let's put it that way, and we process through everything that we've got, is understand we're working through our blueprints. And when you think you finished your blueprint, yeah, really? Well, then another layer comes up, because that's what happened to me. My Master Carol, a long time ago, he was telling me, well, you're about 75% through that blueprint. And, you know, for me, that's just like lighting a fire, right? I thought, oh God, that's great. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to try harder. What happened? They brought up, he told me I have a blueprint. Okay, so I got 3 blueprints I'm working on. Okay, so I mean, it's just perfect because of Master Imhotep being the architect, right? So it's perfect. The architect tells you always follow the blueprint. So here's a little guidance from my loving Master Imhotep: follow your blueprint. So Sandra, you have a beautiful blueprint. I want to tell you that. And you are a beautiful light of goddess in my life. And I'm grateful for you. And we also have our green goddess. I'm very grateful to also somebody else on here. I'm not sure who it is, but welcome. You're all beautiful lights in my life. We're over time. We've been going for about an hour, I think. I'm not sure. I want to really thank everyone and put in the information now about the signature cell healing workshops. Oh, okay, that's Sandra too. Okay, so good. I just wanted to let you know that there's an opportunity coming up now, Tacoma, Washington. And our hosts there, I mentioned before, Dr. Bree Gibbs and Teresa Hebert. You can register on signaturecellhealing.com. I know some of you might have tried before, and I fixed it. I'm a real hands-on goddess here. So you can register on signaturecellhealing.com. With registration, remember you get the student resources bundle. So there's a bundle of digital self-healing resources that is available as a product, of course, on the store, but you get it free when you register for the workshops, because that's the materials that we use in our level 1. That's, a bulk of it. We have some other things that we provide you. And then the level 2, you receive a manual and some other instructions. So you can register for that there. The dates of the workshop are, hold on. Ooh, I thought I had everything ready. Okay, the dates are May 8th, 9th, and 10th for the level 1, and May 15th, 16th, 17th. So you can come in for both workshops. I'm going to be there between the workshops. I'm probably going to do a practice session. I'll also be available for readings and healing sessions during the time between the workshops, but I definitely want to do a practice session with the level 1 graduates. And then moving into July, we're going to have a level 1 and a level 2 workshop in the Netherlands, in Groesbeek, the Netherlands. And so Google that, Groesbeek, and you can find this information on the Signature Cell Healing website under International Workshops, or you can go to signaturecellhealing.nl, and that will take you to the registration. These workshops are done all in English. This location is a beautiful conference center where you'd be able to stay. There's all sorts of accommodations. I mean, the Dutch, they love to camp. So it's got a camping place. You can come in a camper and sleep in your camper and come to the workshop. Can you believe it? Or you can stay in the hotel portion of this conference center. It's really beautiful. And our hosts there are Taya Bowen and Thomas Klerks, and they're working real hard. And Thomas created this wonderful website for people to register. Registration is open now. I want to tell you that the early bird registration for the Netherlands is complete. It ends at the end of this month on the 31st of March. So register now for the lower price that you get. And our early bird registration for Tacoma for the level 1 ends April 6th. So you have a little more time for that. So getting back to the workshops in the Netherlands, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and July 10th, 11th, and 12th, right there. And this location is very close to the German border, very close actually. So anybody that has taken signature cell healing in Germany or in the Netherlands or in Switzerland or Austria, all the people, or the UK, is just a hop, skip, and a jump over the pond to the continent. Come to the Netherlands and take the workshop. You're gonna enjoy it there. I really appreciate all the people that have worked so hard to create that. If you have any questions, you can email me at KarinnaNielsen.com. Or if you're interested in knowing more about signature cell healing, it's Karinna@signaturecellhealing.com. Isn't that simple? I think that's what I want to tell you. The Japan workshops are down the road, but we're focusing on these 4 right now. Also, I'll be doing an interview with the host, one of the hosts from the Netherlands workshops, this coming Monday. I think we're going to record it, but you'll see it on my YouTube channel. So go to the YouTube channel. YouTube channel is under KarinnaNielsen.com. And I'll be talking to Taya Bowen on Monday about the workshops over there. I hope you have a wonderful month of March. And I also pray that everything comes out great with our recording. I'm looking forward to seeing you next month for the next Healing Moments program, which is going to be on April 4th, Saturday, April 4th. I hope you have a wonderful time. And thank you for your good wishes. I wish you the best wherever you are. I hope the sun is shining, and I hope you feel the love in your heart for you, because you deserve it. Aloha, everybody. Bye.